Listings podcast. I have Moose here with Sphere Rocket. Thanks for joining me.
Jennifer, thanks so much for having me. And guys, thank you so much for listening. Excited to be here.
I'm so excited because we met recently and I instantly felt like it was exactly what we've been looking for like years.
I'm excited that we can be a part of the solution.
Tell us a little bit about Sphere Rocket and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, guys. So I am the sales director at Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants. We are a headhunter for virtual assistants in the Philippines. In addition to headhunting, we also train and co-manage virtual assistants with our clients. About 70% of our book of business is in real estate, whether they're in a residential real estate, commercial real estate, or some type of investor. Clients use us for a wide variety of things, everything from social media management to video editing services to ISAs, building out a team of cold callers, right? We have a very unique model, Jennifer, where a lot of your listeners have probably tried to search for virtual assistants on their own. They've probably gone to websites like Fiverr. They've gone to websites like Upwork. They've gone to websites like onlinejobs.ph. And well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those websites, right? Usually our clients come to us after they've gone to those sources and they found one of two things. Either A, their time spent recruiting a $4 an hour virtual assistant isn't worth their time and they look for us to fill that need for them. Or B, they've hired somebody and they don't have the systems and the structures in place to manage and retain a virtual assistant. So they come to us to help us fill that need.
We've absolutely come across this multiple times where either before they bring my company on, they're like, I've tried hiring virtual assistants multiple times and it totally falls flat. Or we try to help them hire a virtual assistant and for various reasons that doesn't work out, right? More often than not, what's happened to us is that we had like very high turnover with companies and stuff that we had brought on. That's kind of where we were introduced. I was like, this is the perfect solution. This is exactly what we need. So share a little bit about what makes you different than Upwork and Fiverr and all of those other companies.
Yeah, so the churn of what you hear on a virtual assistant is the story that's too commonly told, right? We hear that all the time. And what happens when you go to these websites like Fiverr, Upwork, onlinejobs.ph, you're sourcing from a pool of independent contractors, right? So they're not looking for their next job as an independent contractor. Rather, they're looking for their next client, just like we all are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they're looking for their next client, if you hire somebody for, let's call it $4 an hour or $4.50 an hour or $5 an hour, well, what that's done is it's now given them their baseline rate. And when they go back into the market, someone might be willing to pay them 50 cents an hour more, right? Which isn't a big deal for us, but from their side, right? They're only getting paid $4 an hour in the first place, right? So it's common that they could go ghost. It's common that they could leave, right? Versus Sphere Rock, we're a traditional headhunter. So what that means is we are running ads in the Philippines. We're targeting corporate Philippines, right? We're not targeting a pool of independent contractors. Let's say you hired a social media manager through us. We put them through a 3-tier interview process before we ever introduce them to you, right? Once we do introduce them to you, we introduce 4 at a time. You run a final interview process. You bring on your favorite candidate, and now they are your employee, right? Versus them being their next client, right? So that said, I always try and tell you the upside, and I always try and tell you the downside, right? Jennifer, if I could figure out how to solve people problems, I wouldn't be in the business of selling virtual assistants, right? Well, I would love to tell you that yes, every hire is the perfect hire. Really, what you're hiring Sphere Rocket for is a process, not just the recruiting of the virtual assistant, right? Let's say a worst case scenario happened a month into working with someone does leave, right? Well, you're not going back to the recruitment process and to find your next virtual assistant, right? We already have a backlog of virtual assistants because we have about 10,000 applicants per month, right? You're
Wow.
working directly with a CSM who should be seeing the red flags of, hey, this person showed up late. Hey, this person's internet went out at a weird time where 500 other virtual assistants' internet did not go out, right? This is a red flag. It's looking like a people process or a people problem. We need to get you a new person in before it becomes a bigger issue.
So what does that process look like? So you just instantly go out and start looking for them again and then you place them, or what does that look like for the client?
Yeah, the recruitment process or the CSM process?
I guess both. Like
Yeah,
how are you partnering someone with a CSM, but then how are you kind of like recruiting for that next person?
yeah. So right around the time that we met, Jennifer, we ended up adding CSMs to our business, and it's such a value add. It doesn't cost the client or the consumer any additional money, but we're very excited about our CSM process. Right? We have just onboarded our second CSM. It's a girl by the name of Brittany Roberts, and I'm going to brag about her a little bit. I've been in the business of scaling sales teams and building sales teams for the last 5 years. About 5 years ago, when I was starting my journey, I placed her into a company that was doing about $30,000 a month in production. By the time I poached her away about 2 months ago, the company was doing about $2 million a month in production, right? The reason why that's beneficial to you, the listener, the consumer of Sphere Rocket, right? She's hired and fired a lot of people to grow a business from $30,000 a month to $2 million a month. She's built out a lot of systems, a lot of processes, right? When you come on with Sphere Rocket, your first step is to have a one on one meeting with the CSM, right? Of course, you're telling them what the ideal candidate looks like for you. Maybe it's somebody who's worked as a social media manager in the past. Maybe it's somebody who's worked as a social media manager for a real estate company. Maybe you prefer male, female, whatever it is, right? Maybe you prefer someone who, because we're recruiting from the Philippines, has a better grasp on their English. Maybe you don't care about that as much, right? We can go as far and narrow as you want on the recruitment process, right? But that said, the narrower that you go on the recruitment process, the longer the duration of recruitment can take, right?
Yes.
So, on the opposite side of that, as we are recruiting, right, Brittany and our CSM team will be taking a deep dive into your business, into your SOPs. Of course, we have pre built SOPs across the 2,000 clients that are already using us, right? And we know what's already working for them. But the way Jennifer runs her business and the way Moose runs his business could be completely separate. So to create a base of all the same SOPs wouldn't be effective, right? We need to dive in, see how you run your business, and then customize the SOPs to fit your needs while we're doing the recruitment process. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
So that's the way the CSM process works. It's ended up increasing retention of our clients. I'm sure we'll get more into more into that later for the free trial process, but it's been a huge value add, and we're stoked to continue to scale it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, on the other side, one of the things that I was really excited to hear about, because I've been in some of these masterminds where it's literally a mastermind trying to figure out how to keep their VA busy and happy.
Yep.
And it's like top professionals. So what I was really excited to hear is that you're not only, Sphere Rocket's not only providing training for the VA, they're also providing some training for the business owner.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the training on both ends, because I think that was something that I was really excited to see.
Yeah. So Jennifer, it works on both sides, like you mentioned, right? We're the middleman, and we are the middleman in a people oriented business, right? When I say that, we're dealing with people who are consumers on your side, right? And then we're dealing with people on the recruitment side. So if you're not happy and they're not happy, we have risk on both sides of it. It's not like we're selling a course or coaching that's just like, well, it is what it is, and hopefully you enjoy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If things are not strong on the client side, then our virtual assistant can come back to us and put a bad rep on us for placing them in a bad opportunity, right? So it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
important that we provide coaching for both parties. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
There
Oh,
we
there we
go.
go.
Cool. And the first one is a group coaching. So every week we have 10 hours of dedicated live coaching for our virtual assistants. But in addition, we have 10 hours of live coaching dedicated for the client side as well, right? So if we hire you a video editor, they should come to our video editing training on Mondays, right? But they should also meet up with our CMO, right? To make sure that their processes are intact for this virtual assistant to be able to fulfill on what
Mm,
you as the consumer expects them to fulfill on, right? Now,
yeah.
people always ask me, are we paying for the training or does Sphere Rocket pay for the training, right? And the consumer pays the virtual assistant when they are on the clock to go to the training because they are the consumer's employee, right? But they don't have to go to 20 hours a week worth of live training either. If you hire a video editor, there's no reason for them to go to executive assistant training on Wednesdays,
Yeah.
right? There's no reason for them to go to a social media management training on Thursdays. You hand select the training that you want them to go to. But then, in addition to the group coaching, we have the CSM trainings, like we just mentioned, right? Now, on the opposite side, on the virtual assistant side, the VAs have a VA mentor as well. So it would be basically three parties. It would be the consumer, the virtual assistant, and then the CSM in the middle. The virtual assistant mentor is communicating with the CSM. Any red flags that are brought up are being brought up to the client, right? And now everyone
Amazing.
should have a smooth process, assumably, moving forward. Or if there's not, we can isolate it before an issue ever happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think one of the number one problems I see, I mean, this is with any employee, right? But for some reason, I see it really heightened with VAs. It's just like a lack of communication. There's not
Yes.
enough communication. There's not like, you're not seeing those red flags until all of a sudden, yeah, they just don't show up, or
Yes.
something really goes wrong. And you're like, what happened? Well, I haven't spoken to them for a few weeks, and their internet kept going down. And I didn't say anything, and I wasn't setting them to a certain standard. Well, would you have done that with an employee that was sitting next to you? Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
it's the same thing.
Yes. Great point, Jennifer. And this is what so many clients come to us about, right? What people tend to do is they hire a virtual assistant and they say, "Great, my VA is on board for $4 an hour. I'm going to ask them to be my social media manager, my video editor, my cold caller, my executive assistant." They try and spread them too thin, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Sphere Rocket, whether you hire one virtual assistant or five virtual assistants, our price stays the same, right? We want to help you departmentalize your virtual assistant and treat them as you would any other team member. Just setting up a meeting cadence, right? So that you're checking in with them on a daily basis for a half hour, knowing what they're working on, knowing what their goals are for the week ahead, celebrating their wins for the week before, keeps such a strong alignment between the virtual assistant and the org. And it's a piece that most people are missing, right? A lot of clients come to me and they say, "Moose, I don't have time to manage somebody. I don't have time to meet with another team member," right? And my question back is, what type of leader do you want to be in your business, right? If you don't have time to manage somebody, then you truthfully don't want to scale your org, right? And when you're
Yeah.
growing your business, you have two options. Your first option is either scale the amount of hours that you work, right? Or option B would be to scale out your team. So if you don't have time to manage somebody, heck, Tom Brady went to training camp for the Bucks after winning 5 Super Bowls to win another one, right? If you don't have
Yeah.
time to manage somebody, then you probably shouldn't hire,
Yeah.
right? But you should if you really want to grow.
I love that. That's actually one of the things that we kind of teach is like, when you're ready to hire and you're in that training mode, you need to actually make sure that you're scheduling extra time for them. Like, I know
Yes.
it's eventually going to take time off of your plate, a ton of time off your plate. But in the beginning, you still have to make sure you're investing in that person. I mean, and then ongoing as well. But eventually, it should take more off your plate and give you more bandwidth to do other things. But that's where we kind of see some of these relationships go arise. They're like,
If
well, you're just going to do it, right?
if
Well,
you
this is your business.
if you did a time audit of your day, I love this example, Jennifer, where if I did a time audit of my day, right, a couple of months ago, I would find that I was losing 2 to 3 hours a day in just my emails. And I know so many real estate agents. That's so common, right? Whether you're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with LOs or dealing with your prospects or dealing with your broker, right? It's such a common one. Well, if you're losing 2 to 3 hours a day in email, what do you value your time at, right? If you value
Yeah.
your time at $100 an hour, even if it was just for an hour a day, that's $500 per week that you're giving up, right? If you could outsource that to an executive assistant for $4 an hour, right? Where now you don't look at your email again. I was the type of guy where I had 6,000 emails in my inbox at any given time. Now, my executive assistant is Operation Zero inbox. And at any given time, I'll have 3 or 4 emails. Jennifer, I hate to tell you, but if you email me, I won't respond to you. It'll be my executive assistant, Tracy, right? And if there's anything that she doesn't know how to answer, she's going to say, "Moose, I don't know how to answer this," right?
Yeah.
So if you can get that time back, it's so valuable to you. I'll share with you my screen again just to prove the point that I'm sharing there, right? So 2 emails in my inbox, 3 things which she wasn't sure how to answer. One was internal, internal. Gosh, NPS score. One was my wife asked me to buy out the car. One was you.
I don't know how to pay off your
It's like
car,
I don't
so
know how
I
to
don't
answer
know.
this. What is this? I was like, don't worry, I know what to do with it. We'll be in touch later.
That is so funny. I mean, yeah, it's so valuable. I mean, all this time that we waste doing things that really isn't either in our zone of genius or we could be delegating to someone else, I think could be so beneficial. Do you help at Sphere Rocket kind of help people identify like what can be delegated?
Yes, yes, and it's simpler than people realize. But one of the first tasks that a CSM puts you through, right, is a time audit of your day, and it's a little bit intrusive and it's a little bit uncomfortable, right? But it's important for us to do a time audit of your day to figure out where you're actually spending your hours. So the example that I always say is Justin wore a GoPro for 24 hours to look to see where his time was going each day, right? Are we going to do that? No, we're not going to ask you to wear a GoPro. But still, how much time is being wasted throughout the day? How much time are you spending grocery shopping? How much time are you cooking, right? How much time are you managing email? How much time are you spending in transaction coordination? How much time are you spending scrolling social media, right? How much time are you spending in cold calling? Guys, we have a cold calling team at Sphere Rocket, a team of 4 that we pay $3.15 an hour for plus commission, right? $3.15 an hour plus your plus commission. If you value your time at $10 an hour, you should be outsourcing to a virtual assistant to do cold calling for you, right? We get a 12x ROI on our team. Now, where most people go wrong with ISAs, this is, I'm sure, a whole nother conversation, is they try and hire one, and they're like, great, I don't need to make any more dials, right? But the ISA position is really a data gathering position, right? So it works better at scale than it does with one off, right? So
Yeah.
our top performing clients with that role are hiring 3 or 4. But I always like to give that example.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, there's so many opportunities here, I think, to help agents, business owners scale. And I think you provide a really great solution because frankly, I've struggled with finding the right solution for VAs. You know, we've tried them all. We've tried Upwork, we've tried Fiverr, we've tried a bunch of different other companies. And it just, I think the piece that was really missing was probably the education for the actual business owner. It was a really large portion of it where there's kind of like, just let them run with it. So you have a really amazing offer. And I think this is just a no-brainer for everybody. You have a free trial that you offer for your virtual assistant services. So how, if people are interested and they want to get a hold of you or schedule that call, where do they go?
We do, absolutely. So thank you so much for recommending our service, by the way. But guys, so the way we work, it's completely different from the rest of the marketplace on virtual assistants, right? We work as a headhunter, we work as a co-manager with you, right? So if you looked at the market of virtual assistants, there's 2 routes that you can go. The first route is the free route, where you try and do all of this on your own. You spend your time as a recruiter, right? If you said, hey, I want to do the free route, awesome. Come to me if it doesn't work out. That's a great route to go if it works out for you, right? The second route is you could go a paid model. What most companies end up doing is they're going to charge you anywhere from $12 to $15 an hour per virtual assistant, right? What they're doing is they're hubbing the virtual assistant somewhere in the Philippines, right? They take what we call a scrape of about 80% of their labor, and they pay them back $3 to $4 an hour difference. With Sphere Rocket, we charge a flat fee. The flat fee could range anywhere from $600 a month for one virtual assistant to $1,000 per month for up to 5 virtual assistants to $3,000 a month if you had a team of 30 virtual assistants, right? Most of our clients tend to go towards that $1,000 a month offer, right? It gets you up to 5 virtual assistants. It gets you the training of the virtual assistants, the access to the CSM. It's a flat fee where we provide the 20 hours of training, etc. But from there, like you mentioned, we do offer a 45-day free trial. So even if you are considering going the free route, guys, feel free to book a call with me. Feel free to ask me questions. Feel free to use me as a resource, even if you are going to go the free route. That's completely fine with me. In 45 days, we would go out and headhunt your candidate for you, introduce you to 4 different prospects for you. From there, you onboard your favorite one. You start working with the CSM. You onboard that person for 30 days. Come day 45, if you say, this is amazing for me, I want to keep scaling, I want to add multiple virtual assistants, awesome. We can talk about our accelerated program. In 45 days, if you say, Moose, I just need the one virtual assistant, I've got the training down, I don't need additional training, no problem. You can downgrade to launch. Maybe at the end of the 45-day trial, you say, Moose, I want to build out an entire phone room of virtual assistants and I need the 30. Amazing. We can talk about our Elite CEO program. But the free trial will let you in to try any of our services, no questions asked. And if you decide to cancel on day 44 because you don't like the BA, you don't like the CSM, maybe you see the Florida State gear and you say, hey, I don't like Florida State. Whatever the reason is, you can cancel no questions asked, right? The way that you can reach us for that is we do have a QR code here for you.
And I'll drop that in the show notes also for those that are listening in.
Perfect. Let me go to downloads. Feel free to scan that, guys, and that'll book a call directly with me or my team. It would be someone, it would be myself, it would be Brandon Runkle, CJ Ramos, or Shane.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm so excited because I feel like people just, that's a no-brainer to me. Just to give it a try, see how it all works, be paired with an awesome VA, and get some training too.
Guys, I always recommend, even if you have questions regarding virtual assistants, even if I can be a resource to you, even if you say at the end of the call, hey, I want to hold off on the virtual assistant for now, please feel free to use me as a resource, not just a sales call. Any way that I can help you or your business, please let me know. I'm happy to be the resource, especially if they're connected with you, Jennifer. Any way that I can help, please allow me to.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Moose. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today and just sharing all of your knowledge. I hope that all of our listeners take a ton away about, scaling their business and getting some time back in their life this year.
My pleasure, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me and looking forward to staying in touch with you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.